Before I say anything else, it's really important to me to know who's in the house. So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. And if you could just by a simple round of applause, if it applies to you, just do that for me. Thumbs up? Cool. All right. First of all, if you've ever had to ask for forgiveness, please clap. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. If you have ever knowingly done something wrong, something you know you weren't supposed to do, but you did it anyway. Oh, okay, clap. All right. Now on this next one, you don't necessarily have to say what it was, but if you have ever broken the law and didn't get caught, clap. No, really clap. Those of y'all who broke the law. All right, good deal. All right, now that I know all of y'all's business, let me tell you a bit about me. My name is William E. Arnold Jr. I am a native Memphian raised by a single mom right here in Memphis. I'm a proud product of the Memphis City school system. I attended the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, and then after that I did graduate work at Tennessee State University, and it was that graduate work that changed my name in 2005 to Dr. William Edward Arnold Jr. And it allowed me to have a pretty much middle-class life, working in higher education, serving on boards, volunteering in my community. But then in 2013, I was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. I spent 6 years and 9 months in the state penitentiary. And then in January of last year, my case was overturned, the sentence was vacated, and the charges were dismissed. So in April of 2020, at the height of the pandemic, y'all, I was released. And in about 24 hours, I went from being on lockdown as inmate 524840 to doing what millions of people are gonna someday do. I was re-entering society. Now, what is re-entering society? Re-entry is a process whereby people who are justice involved, and let's stop there for a minute. When I say people who are justice involved, that's what they are, people who have had some involvement with justice. They may have been in prison, they may have been in jail, maybe on probation or parole. They're not ex-cons, they're not felons, they're not bad guys. They're people who are justice involved. So re-entry, as I said, is a process whereby people who are justice involved transition back into society, okay? So I was doing that at that moment. I was getting sort of a reset. I think we call it today a what? Pinky, pointer, Control, Alt, Delete maybe? Yeah, that's what we'll call it. So with that, here I am re-entering society. And I just spent 7 years in this horrible, depressing place, right? But it was through the power of faith, family, and friends that I was able to make it through that, y'all. I was able to make it through the support of those folks. But what was most important through that was it allowed me to see the value of the men with whom I was incarcerated with. Men who were telling me stories about their families, their kids, their nieces, their nephews, their wives. Men who just wanted to get back home to their families and live out the rest of their lives. I found value in these people. I remember one guy, he had taught himself to paint these wonderful portraits. And he would steady his hand, his right hand with his left hand because he had Parkinson's. But he was persevering through it. And then when my cousin's dog died, Tyler, I gave a guy a picture of Tyler, and he took soap, pen, ink, and watercolors and looked at that picture of Tyler and made a perfect statue that she has sitting on her mantle. These are men who can do more with less. Men who have abilities that would blow your mind. Resourceful, visionaries. So when you think about our workforce and you think about adding people to it, I mean, if you're anything like me, every time you go to Target or I'm gonna go old school Fred's if it was still around, or Zare, right? Aren't y'all tired of seeing those shelves empty? Because we need more people in our workforce. We need to tap into this. So when you think about this population, it is very, very important, All right. So the challenge with reentry is that many times when these folks come home, they don't have driver's license, they don't have social security cards, they don't have birth certificates. Those are the small barriers. We're not talking about the lack of housing, transportation, insurance. My own personal story, I couldn't get an Airbnb account, y'all. Airbnb, I couldn't rent a weekend away for an Airbnb, but I was able to vote. So, right, go figure. So what I'm saying is think about what these folks are dealing with. Think about that. I'd like to just leave you with something real quick. The next time you think about someone who is justice involved, and before you frown, turn your nose up, or punch down, I want you to think about this. That person paid their debt to society, right? They paid their debt to society. So think about those individuals who have paid their debt to society. And I want you to think about how loud you clapped when you said you didn't get caught. And the only difference between them and you is caught and uncaught. Thank you.